Hi everyone, it's Instructor John coming to you today live from a Macintosh MacBook Pro, my wife's machine, and my objective today is to show you how I use StatPlus. It's an add-on program for the Macintosh, makes up for the fact that the Mac version of Excel no longer supports descriptive statistics, including the ability to generate a histogram, which many of you ran up against, those Mac users in the class ran up against in week 2. And you'll probably hit it again in week 3 with the need for descriptive statistics. So here goes. I'm no expert at this. I've just started using it. I've just used it a couple of times myself, so bear with me if I have to stumble around a little bit. Let's get started. The first thing I've done is I've opened up the Design XLSX worksheet. This is the one that we used in week 2 to, in Appendix 2.1 to create a histogram with. So first thing you do is you have to find that after you've installed the StatPlus application, and I'll give you a video on how to do that, or rather a web link on how to do that. First thing you do is you have to find the thing. Well, it's hidden in the applications folder on your computer, and if you scroll down to the S's, you'll find StatPlus. We'll double click on that to launch the program. Get rid of this, and you can see we have a very simple menu system up here. If you need to get into Excel, you can click there. I'm already in Excel, so I'm not going to do that. The main event is in statistics. And for our purposes, now you can do a lot of things, regression analysis, time series forecast, some of the stuff we may get into later in the semester, but most of what we'll be doing is in basic statistics, and tables. So let's start off doing the histogram. We'll click on histogram, and that opens up a window. Now this thing says, do you want a Pareto sorted histogram? If you do, you can check that. Or hide empty bins. That means any bin that is 0 won't show up. I don't like that. Let's show the empty bins. Say OK. Now the trick here is this. The first thing is you have to come up with the variables that you want to plot. And so to do that, now before you click on this little icon over here, but before I do that, notice it said labels in first row has been checked. That means it's okay to include the rating word, because that would be treated as a label. You have to really watch that on all these applications. Otherwise, if I had that checked and I didn't include the word rating, the 34 would be interpreted as the label and not included in the data for analysis. That's a pain in the neck. Same's true in a PC, by the way. So let's click on this, and it brings us over to the table here. So I just click on rating. I can drag down, and there we are. And I have to go back to StatPlus. And StatPlus is down here on in the dock, as they call it in the Mac world, down here. And there we are. Now, all we have to do now is say OK. And it's calculating. Up there we are. Now this is StatPlus's version of a histogram. You notice it came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different classes, up to 20, 20 to 28, 28 to 31, and it gave us the counts. Now we'll save that one because that's not exactly what we came up with in the textbook. They suggested that we use a different set of bins. So let's go back to StatPlus. This is, incidentally, this has been opened up in a workbook now, a separate workbook. And if we wanted to, and I should recommend you do this, you could simply select this entire area from A1 down to the bottom of the chart, like that. You could copy it, take it over to your workbook where your assignment workbook, and paste it in there, rather than having a bunch of different workbooks you have to consolidate somehow. So copy and paste is your friend in this case. So back to StatPlus here. We'll do another one: statistics, basic statistics, descriptive statistics. Oops, I didn't want descriptive. I'm sorry. Statistics, basic statistics histogram, and that's the default, I guess, so we'll get rid of that. Again, I'll select the range. Now to do that, I have to go over here to Excel and find my design thing here. It's already selected, so all I have to do now, I think, let's see if this works, so go back to, yeah, it's filled it in for me. Now the next thing I'm going to do is include a bin range. So I'll click on that. That takes me back to my spreadsheet in Excel. Notice I've entered the bins as suggested by the textbook on page 83. So I can select that bin range thusly and go back to StatPlus, and lo and behold, it's filled that in. And if I run the histogram now, let's see what we get. Okay, there's one that looks just like it did in the textbook. Now, at this point, you're in Excel, and you can go in here and, if you want to change the color of the bars or whatever it is you want to do, you can do that. Chart options. This is Excel 2004, by the way, so your mileage may vary. Now you can do all the normal things. I'm not going to bother with doing that. And again, I'm not real interested in the beauty of your charts as long as you know how to use the data and interpret the data. Now, if you want to make it look pretty, hey, knock yourself out. And I think that's important if you're doing this in the real world for your boss, let's say, or investors or customers, someone you want to impress. Having a neat looking chart goes a long way. Now let me do one other thing while I'm here, and that is the descriptive statistics. Let's go back to charts, statistics, basic statistics. Let's do descriptive statistics this time. And again, it's the same interface, except now we only need one row of data. And we'll go back over here to we used to use the design data. It's not very interesting, but hey, it'll work. What's the average rating? What's the standard deviation of the ratings? All these things that we're going to start talking about in Chapter 3, we can ask StatPlus to do for us, just as you can do with descriptive statistics if you're on a PC, Windows PC. Okay, it's filled in the range for me very nicely. Thank you very much. And I say OK. And here's the table. Now this looks a little bit different than Excel on a PC. It has some different fields, but the stuff we really need are there. It has the count. And the count, yeah, I know there's 60 values. Well, it's good to look at that, but to make sure you didn't miss one, or that labels checkbox thing didn't trip you up somehow. It gives you the mean. The average rating was 30.35, and the standard deviation was 3.107. So that's interesting, and you'll be seeing standard deviations till you hope you never see another one by the end of the semester, believe me. The min, the max, the range, there's 15. Remember that number? That's how we determined that we should have 2.5 rounded up to 3 as a class width, all that good stuff, and a whole bunch of other stuff, some of which we'll never get to, but it's all there. Someday you may thank me because you need to know the skewness of your data. Okay, one last thing while I'm on the Mac. It is possible, so I think this question came up somewhere. Can I do a pivot table rather in Excel on the Mac? And I'm pretty sure this is the 2004 again. And I'm pretty sure the same is true in 2008, 2011. You simply go to the data and pivot table report. I haven't done one of these in quite a while. I hope it works. Microsoft Excel list or database, yes. Next. Okay, what's the range? It's suggesting A1 through B101. That's a pretty good guess. Is that what we really want? 101, yeah, see, it guessed. I just clicked in the general vicinity of the data and it figured it out. Thank you. Next. let's put it in the existing worksheet so I don't have to go traipsing around looking for it. And I'll put it right there. Thank you. Layout. Let's look at layout here. Now this is where I can take my, let's see, what do I do here? Rating. I'll put across the top. Is that what we did here? I forget what we did. Let me look. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can do it. Let's do it. I think that was right. Fun type, we'll put in here. And we'll put in the data field count of fun type. One of you got messed up and put in sum of something or other. I forget what. Well, we want to count how many there are, not the total sum of the, which wouldn't make much sense in this case because there's nothing to add together. You can't add together words very easily. Okay, let's see what happens. Finish. And there it is, high, medium, low. And as we discussed somewhere, I can take that. I think I can move it. Let's see, how do I move it? There it is. Get that little hand thing going. No. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. Am I? Well, I can't figure out how to move it. Now what did I do? I got the help screen. What makes you think I need help? Try one more time, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to quit. No, I'm not. I'm doing something wrong. Data. Well, at any rate, pivot table. Now, I'm not sure how you'd move it in this version. I thought I could just drag it over, but apparently I have to do something different. Okay, that's enough for this. I hope this helps you out. Be sure to ask questions. Those of you on a Mac, you can do the course on a Mac. Don't go out and buy a new computer. Just ask me questions and I'll help you along. Again, we're not here to learn Excel. We're here to learn statistics, and I don't want Excel to stand in your way of succeeding in the class. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. We'll see you online.